long time through a couple of different practices, and I can assure you that this gentleman, he might not look like he's got a lot of experience, but I can assure you that he really does. He knows what he's talking about. We're going to talk a little bit about what he can do, and I'd like to introduce Michael Johnson with 10 years plus experience over in Round Lake. So, Michael, take it away.
Thanks, Len. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So, I'm Dr. Michael Johnson, and I'm a chiropractor at Round Lake Beach Chiropractic. I'd like to start out just by saying thanks to all the guests for coming tonight. And I'd like to thank Len and Edward Jones for hosting this event and asking us to speak at it tonight. So, we might say some things tonight that maybe open your eyes a little bit, spark some questions, but we just ask that you hold off on questions until the end, just so we can keep everything flowing here. So a little bit about me. As Len said, I've been in practice for a little over 10 years now, which I think puts me in a really good spot because I've got the experience of a seasoned doc, but I'm still young, and I've got the knowledge and the technological edge of somebody who's more recently out of school. So I'm not set in any old ways, and I think that benefits my patients a lot. So our job tonight is to better inform you guys about how your wealth is directly related to your health. So somebody could have all the wealth in the world, but what good is it if you don't have your health to enjoy it? In the United States, our medical model of what we basically know as healthcare is really more a model of disease management, if you think about it. Because most people really don't take advantage of the medical system until they're actually sick. So what we want to think of is that we should think of healthcare as more of caring for your health and not just managing it when you're not healthy. So why wait for something to go wrong and then spend countless dollars trying to fix something that might not even be fixable, when you could spend less by preventing it from ever happening in the first place? Let me give you some stats on how much money is spent on poor health. So this is from the Wall Street Journal just a couple weeks ago. In 2015, total spending on prescription drugs in the United States increased by 12.2%. So I want you guys to think about that for a second. How much money do you think was spent in our country on prescription drugs last year?
Way too much. Trillions.
Deb, what do you think?
Trillions.
Trillions. Okay. Carol, what do you think?
I would say 2 billion.
2 billion?
Yes.
You in the blue, what do you think?
About 5 billion.
5 billion? Okay. You're a little high, but you guys are way low. Okay, so we actually spent $425 billion on prescription drugs last year. Just think about that for a second. Americans spend about $50 billion just on back pain every year. Low back pain is the #1 cause of disability and lost work hours in the United States. What do you think the financial impact of that is? And this is from the Institute of Medicine. 1 in 3 Americans suffer from chronic pain, and chronic pain costs the country more than $600 billion in medical bills and lost work. So those are just 3 stats relating to prescription drugs, chronic pain, and back pain that are all health-related issues that can be largely prevented. Now imagine if we pulled the stats for dollars spent on other preventable diseases, such as cancer, type 2 diabetes, obesity, osteoporosis, heart disease. The numbers are absolutely astounding. I want to tell you guys a little story about my friend Doug and antibiotics. I think we've all been to the doctor feeling sick, and he doesn't really know what's going on, but he says, why don't you start on these antibiotics? If it's something with the bacteria, they should knock it out. If you have a virus, it'll just have to run its course. So if you have the virus, you just wasted money on the antibiotics because you never even needed them, right? And if you didn't need them in the first place, antibiotics kill bacteria. And I don't know how much you guys know about that, but we actually have a lot of really good bacteria in our system. The antibiotics kill that too. So if you're taking antibiotics and you don't really need them in the first place, you're not doing yourself any benefits because you're killing all the good bacteria. Now, if you really do need them, then I think it is, worth it, and you should take them. But Doug was a guy that I went to chiropractic school with. So we were probably 22 or 23 years old, and we had a pharmacology class. That's where we learn about medication, including antibiotics. And after pharmacology class one day, we were down in the break room playing ping pong, and Doug says to me, he's like, I've never been on an antibiotic. I was floored, right? Now, Doug's parents are both chiropractors, his mom and his dad. Let me tell you a little story about me. When I was a kid, my mom used to get penicillin from the vet. Okay? Because it was cheap and she could get a huge bottle of it. So whenever I would start getting sick, she would start giving me penicillin. She said, that's what your pediatrician always does. That's what I'll do too, right? Sometimes it helped, sometimes it didn't. Okay, but for me, I've been on antibiotics so many times, I don't even know. So to hear somebody in their 20s say that they've never been on antibiotics was like, that was pretty flooring to me. So I said, Doug, tell me about that, How have you gotten by this long without being on antibiotics? And he says, well, both my mom and dad are chiropractors. We always eat really healthy. We never eat junk food. And they would adjust me regularly. And if I started getting sick, they would adjust me more frequently. And I guess that was enough because I never got so sick that I actually needed an antibiotic. I just think that's really cool, so I wanted to share that with you guys. It's a totally true story. So hopefully that gets everybody thinking about how taking care of their health leads to increased wealth. In my practice, it's common to see people staying home from work due to migraine headaches and back pain. But for, say, maybe $40 to $100 in treatment, they get their problems corrected and they don't miss work. Assuming that they make more than that in a day, that cost-to-benefit ratio is really favorable. Taking it a step further, I have patients that come in for monthly spinal maintenance. And for them, they may spend about $40 a month to feel good and not miss any work or social activities because of headaches or back pain, because the maintenance care keeps it under control. So now let's talk about your insurance premiums. For the most part, if you're self-insured, you've seen that over the last 7 to 10 years, your premiums have skyrocketed. Not only are the premiums going up, but the coverage that you get for them is going down. So it costs more to go to the doctor. I used to hear people all the time say things like, I've got really great insurance. I don't have to take care of myself. If I get hurt or if I get sick, my insurance covers everything. I have nothing to worry about. Well, now I hear things like, I pay a ton in premium now. My coverage really isn't that good. I got to take really good care of myself because if I do have to go to the doctor, it's going to cost a lot. And the only way that my insurance is even going to help me is if something catastrophic happens. So I've definitely seen a change, over the last 10 years. More and more people are choosing high deductible policies to keep their premiums down. And if you are one of them, if you haven't looked into a health savings account yet, you should talk to Len. Health savings accounts, they offer tax advantages for healthcare related expenses. So at this time, with the deductibles rising, those offer really good options. So everybody, in your bags that we handed out, you have a folded paper. It has a person on it and it highlights their back. So if you look at that paper, once everybody gets it out. So on the far left-hand side, it highlights the spine. Then there's some lines coming away from the spine. And what those lines represent is they represent the nerves that come out of that part of the back. If you follow the lines across to the right, they go to the different parts of the body that those nerves go to. And then if you follow it a little further, it shows the common conditions that can happen when there's interference with those nerves. So as a chiropractor, my main focus is to correct that nerve interference, and by doing so, that's how we can have a really strong influence on a lot of those conditions that you see on the far right. So while you guys look at that, I want to explain a little bit about what chiropractic really is. So chiropractic is a safe, natural, and effective way to relieve pain and improve the body's overall function by restoring your body's nervous system. The nervous system controls every system in the body. It is made up of the brain and spinal cord. Spinal nerves branch out from the spinal cord and travel to every cell in the body where they transmit nerve impulses to and from the brain. The spinal nerves are very important because they are the only source of communication between your body and your brain, so your health is dependent on them working without interference. So I did bring my spine model today. So basically everything I just said, if you see the model of the spine, head and brain is up here, spinal cord comes down, and these represent the nerves that come out of it. Okay? So then these nerves, they travel to our muscles, they travel to our organs, they travel to all the cells in our body, and that's why they work, right? So I'll get into a little bit more about that in a second. So if your back or your neck is injured, it causes restricted movement and reduced flexibility. If left untreated, the joints in your spine can become inflamed and swollen, and the damaged tissues release inflammatory chemicals that can disrupt the spinal nerve function. This often leads to compression of the spinal nerve through swelling or a disc herniation. So our spines move, right? That's how we can move around, bend forward, backward, side to side, and twist. But sometimes things move a little bit too much and they don't go back to their normal place, and then that starts to create that extra pressure on the nerve. And once you get that extra pressure, that's when you start to have that interference that leads to the things on the paper that you guys all have. So when that starts to happen, we as chiropractors call that the vertebral subluxation complex. It often starts out pain-free, but if left untreated, it will end up causing symptoms. So sometimes the subluxation will result in back pain or sciatica, but since the spinal nerves also communicate with all of the organs and systems of the body, it may result in other internal health problems as well. So as a chiropractor, I find those subluxations and I gently adjust the vertebrae to restore the natural movement and function of the spine to reduce the interference on the nerve. This can reduce pain and improve overall health. A healthy spine means a healthy nervous system, which means a healthy body. So in my practice, most adult patients come in with some sort of ache or pain that they are hoping we can help them get rid of. But they quickly find out that in addition to just focusing on the specific pain that brought them in, we go deeper. And we look to care for their overall health by getting into the importance of exercise, nutrition, hydration, stress management, and whatever else might be needed on a case-to-case basis. Everybody would agree that to be healthy, you should eat well, exercise, get the right amount of sleep, and reduce stress. But not many actually do that. Where I come in is I often end up being a coach to my patients for these things. And when people do these things, they end up spending less on medical expenses, have fewer days lost from work, and can enjoy the wealth that they have. In closing, I want everybody to think of their body like their car. My mechanic once told me that today's vehicles are built to go over 300,000 miles if we take care of them correctly. Our bodies are also built to go a long time if we take care of them. Just as you need to do the recommended maintenance on your car to keep it running, you need to do recommended maintenance on your body to keep it running as well. Even with the best maintenance, if we have our vehicle long enough, the check engine light will eventually come on, or we may hit a pothole somewhere along the way. And at that time, we all look for that honest mechanic to tell us what's wrong and help fix our problem. I love being that honest mechanic chiropractor. And with the help of Christine and Taria, who are going to speak next, if it's an internal wiring problem, which relates to the nervous system, which is my main focus, a fluid problem, which relates to the nutrition, so what you put into your body, or a problem with the exterior of the car, which relates to like our muscles, which is Taria's ballpark, we make up a team that really cares for your health and can help you enjoy your life in a safe, natural, and cost-effective way. Thanks.
All right.